Live from the Talking Joe studios.
It's Talking Joe with Chief and Ben. Hey, 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 it's me, the Chief, and I'm here with my buddy.
Hey, it's Ben. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going.
Chief, there's so much going on, I don't even know where to start.
Right.
There's just so much going on.
We've got somewhere.
We got Avengers Endgame. We got Game of Thrones, Battle of Winterfell. I've built Lego Voltron. It's been...
What? You built Lego Voltron?
Yeah, Emma went over to Lego HQ and they got like a half-price Lego shop, and she took a spare suitcase and she came back with Lego Voltron. Do you know much about Voltron?
No, I know it was around in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's a Japanese thing, isn't it? So is it giant robots, but are they smaller manned robots that make a big robot? I'm not too sure.
It's formed of 5 separate lions, Go lions, and each one of those lions has got a human in them, and convert and transform into Voltron, Defender of the Universe.
And who does he fight against?
Oh, just a bunch of big bad monster robot type things.
Yeah, I tell you what, I am. That's on a similar vein. What I'm gonna get into, I keep saying gonna, and my 3-year-old, pulls me up on it, and she says, "Daddy, we don't say gonna, we say going to."
Speech police.
Well, that's something that I normally would be pulling people up on, but
yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to start getting back into Battle of the Planets. Now, that might have been before your time. G-Force. Do you remember G-Force?
That rings a bell.
When you see some of the imagery, it will come flooding back to you. But yeah, that's. I think it was called. What was it called in Japan?
Yeah, that's the thing. Everything had a different name.
Can't remember.
Because I'm pretty sure Voltron was called Go Lion or something, or the translation was called Go Lion. Anyway, I am going to put this out there. It is the best Lego build I've ever done.
What?
Bar none. On every level, it's so impressive. So you build the 5 lions separately.
Yep.
That's how. So you get a book for each lion, and then at the end you get a book on how to build them and turn them into Voltron.
Okay.
And the lions kind of transform, and the size of this thing and the heft, it is incredible. It's got partial articulation.
Yep.
But as far as Lego builds go, it's been the most satisfying one I've done.
Okay.
So yeah, that was what I spent the weekend doing.
Nice.
Pretty much.
Nice.
And also I went bodyboarding a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah. We went to the surf shop and bought some bodyboards, and because there was a storm. What was the storm? Storm Hannah? Did that hit you?
Did not hit us, no.
Storm Hannah didn't hit you? Wow. Well, we had a big storm down south and big waves, and it was awesome. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Point Break, 50-year storm.
Yeah. I bought a book that I know you've got, and you've maybe put some... It's in the background of some of your videos, The Art of Atari.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's a good book.
Yeah, it's so... Those guys, because it's a handful of artists, isn't it? They're incredible.
Yeah. So this is a lot of cover art and imagery for a lot of the Atari 2600 games.
It's very distinctive, isn't
it? The
it?
ones before, whatever the system before that was. And it's a big old coffee table-sized book. And Zavvi.com, get down there, $9.99.
Yeah, I did a few photos of that book, and the author guy, contacted me and was like,
"Really?
Yeah, he gave me a shout out."
Nice.
It's very that. Didn't you feel like when you were a kid, and those covers to video games were so kind of like, you look at them in the shop, you're like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
And then you get back, doesn't load.
No, and it's an Atari. Yeah, it's the cover art didn't depict the level of the graphics in the actual game.
No, but you were thinking of that cover art when you were playing the game, or I was anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And it helped, yeah. It gave you that kind of atmosphere, didn't it?
Yeah, for sure. What else you been up to, Chief? I know what you haven't been up to.
Which is?
Well, you certainly didn't go and see Avengers Endgame.
I did not know. You did?
No. When did I saw it on the Friday.
Okay.
And I haven't stopped thinking about it.
I have a question at the end of the show, which is, in fact, semi-Avengers Endgame related.
Mm-hmm.
So I won't go into that. We won't delve into this too much. Maybe we can dig into this at the end of the episode.
Okay.
Keep the listeners on tenterhooks.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 questions. Number 1, do I need to see it at the cinema?
I don't know, dude.
I'm not in a massive... I don't
know.
really care how it ends. I did see
when
the
you
other...
go to the cinema,
Yeah.
what boxes are you looking to tick? Because is it a visual or sound? You want the full experience? Because...
Well, I rarely go to the movies anymore. I basically will go to see any Star Wars movie at the movies.
Yeah.
And that's probably it, to be
The
fair.
only advantage is, obviously, you're seeing it... If you don't go to the cinema, you know, I guess you got to wait 3 or 4 months, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you could argue with in-home experiences getting so much better that, you don't have to go to the cinema. But I still love it. I think... You know, it's a blockbuster. It's possibly the biggest, most successful blockbuster ever made.
Did you rewatch the first one beforehand?
Yes, I did. I rewatched a handful of MCU films, and now, since I've seen it, I'm just watching them all.
I think I did watch that last Avengers one at the picture show.
Did you?
And I think I did. And I think I came out thinking, it was all right, nothing special.
I remember you thinking
but I can't really,
it was okay.
I can't really remember anything about it. So that tells you whether it was good or not. No, it wasn't good. But are you saying it was good?
I came out not knowing what to think because it's so massive. The scale of it.
Are you talking about the second one, now the new one, Endgame?
Yeah, Endgame. Okay. No spoilers.
But did you like the first one?
Yes, I loved the first one.
Right,
loved it. Thought it was great. And this one is very, very, very different. You know, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but emotionally it hits on all the kind of right levels and made me realise how much I love those characters.
Right. We had a quick email come in from friend of the show, Doug Bertrand. He's contacted us before, and he says, heard you talking about sequels, which was on our previous episode. If you didn't listen, go and check it out. We talk about movie sequels that are equal to or better than the original. And he was screaming at his radio for us to mention a couple that we didn't. Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan. Now, I'm not against Star Trek, but I just never got into it, so I can't
exactly
comment
the same.
on that.
And I know how much people love that film, but I'm sorry, I've never seen it.
Yep.
Ouch.
Then he also says Captain America Winter Soldier.
Yeah, he is correct. I just rewatched the first one, though, and it's really good. But Winter Soldier is probably one of my favourite MCU films, so yes.
Now I say no because I don't particularly like Winter Soldier.
Hey, we saw that together, buddy.
Did we?
Yeah, in Wimbledon.
Did we?
At cinema.
Yeah, I wasn't overfussed on it at all.
No.
I think the first one's better. And he also says The Wolverine. Is that a sequel?
But
which one's that? Is that the one Old Man Wolverine where he's...
Yeah, but you could have put out any sequel and it would have been better than X-Men Origins, so I didn't really count that. And yes, that film starts off really cool, but it does just descend into a generic mess.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
But anyway, he says, I love the podcast. We're way past where he was reading the comic, but he still loves it. And the day I listen, it brightens my day. All the best, Doug from Wisconsin.
Cheers, Doug, do you think there's a lot of people that like G.I. Joe that didn't really get past issue sort of 60?
Because are you feeling that there's definitely a trend where
I just think
it's
very different, isn't it? It's definitely different now.
Yeah.
So, and I remember you saying, we're kind of in the zone now where things are changing, and I wonder if there's a bunch of people that are like purists and like, no, I love the first 50.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Yeah, so you mentioned Endgame, and also a lot of other stuff's going on is Game of Thrones. Get moving, Danny, it's time to go. Are Cersei and Jaime still got the flow? Sleeping with your sister, that's a no-no. Lord Tywin killed by a crossbow. Now Chief's got a question about this show.
That was the best one yet. That was tight.
Yeah? You like that?
That was tight.
So, yes, I am up to now... I've had to switch to Now TV. I've had to buy a Now TV subscription.
Such bad quality on that.
Well, that's what I'd heard, that
it's
it was
awful,
like
man.
720.
It is. It's 720p. So
720p, but It's very strange because on the title sequence it's horrifically blurred, but when the title sequence cuts into the live action, I'm not actually noticing the downgrading quality that I thought I would get.
No, it's not. It's more the blacks. You'll notice it when there's a big battle at night. It's just a nightmare to see anything.
But it was the cheapest option. It was basically $7.99.
Yeah, that's how I watch it.
It was $24.99. No, $17.99 for 6 months. I got a deal.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like £3 a month.
Yeah, and they're all on there.
You watch it on Now TV as well?
Yeah, that's the only way to watch it in this country, unless you get Sky Atlantic or whatever.
Yeah, I don't have Sky. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Now TV is Sky though.
Yes. So the question I've got is, I'm up to season 5, episode 2, I think, or episode 4 we've watched. I think we've got about 21 to go or something like that.
Okay.
So this is going back in time, you might not remember, but it's been the whole plot point from the very beginning that kind of sucked you in was Ned Stark going to King's Landing because his buddy Jon Arryn the Hand of the King had been killed, and Stark was going to take over as Hand of the King.
Well, that was one story.
Well,
thread,
yeah, but that was like, that formed a lot of the beginning plot point.
Yeah.
And he had died in mysterious circumstances, poisoned. Now you find out that it was Littlefinger who killed Jon Arryn.
Yes.
Why did he kill him?
Do not know, Chief.
Okay.
I do not know. I rarely can answer your Game of Thrones questions. They're very deep.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't even know it was Littlefinger that killed him.
It got
obviously to set plans of he had the raging horn for Ned's
Kat.
wife, so maybe to get her down there. I don't know.
Or was it just because he wanted to kill Jon Arryn so he could then marry?
Maybe he thought he'd
marry his wife, the crazy loon, and he would then become Lord of the Eyrie. But why does he want to become Lord of the Eyrie?
The Vale? I don't know. I don't know. It's difficult for me to talk about these eps after watching last night's. Yeah.
So where I'm at to, just to let you know where I'm at. Actually, the end of season 4, the last 4 episodes, I think, or 3 episodes of season 4, I think were probably the best I've seen so far.
Is that kind of
they were incredible, those 3 at the end.
Well, just remind me.
So
is that Jamie and?
So that is Hound versus Brienne.
Oh yes, good stuff. Yeah.
There's what's happening in? I was saying they're amazing, and I can't even remember what they were. The big revolt, kind of wherever Dany was.
Oh yes, yeah.
All that stuff going down. It was just like, this is the big siege on the wall from the wildlings.
Oh
the
yeah,
giants
that's a great one,
and all that kind of stuff. It was just like, really sort of tight action. What I am noticing though is the general. Oh, and of course Oberyn versus the Mountain.
Oh,
that was all in those last few episodes. Apart from that scene, that Oberyn Mountain scene, and the Jamie and Bronn have just gone to Dawn.
Yeah,
and there's a fight scene and it's not as panto as you made me believe it would be. But those two, they have a fight against Oberyn's 3 bastard daughters.
Yes.
That fight scene and the Oberyn Mountain scene, very good fight scenes. That aside, the fight scene choreography is some of the worst I've ever seen in TV or movies. It's awful.
What, on the whole?
On the whole, the fight scene choreography is awful. Some of the worst I've ever seen.
I think, isn't it some of the best?
No.
I don't know.
No.
Well,
idiots. Whoever's
maybe
saying that, idiots.
The fights, the big battles and stuff are incredible, I think.
Yeah, as a whole, but just when they focus in on a 1v1 sword fight, it's just slow, clumsy. Just, I'm whether they're trying to be realistic.
I think that when you got a big, you're in armor and you got a massive heavy sword, I don't think it's going to be fast.
Yeah, I don't want a realistic simulation of what a 1-on-1 fight would be. I want flips and hijinks and all that kind of stuff. Anyway,
did not pick up on that, but I don't know. Well, it's kind of frustrating. You need to get cracking and get onto this.
Well,
season.
we got 21 episodes to go. We're trying to do 1.5 a night.
Season 5 is the worst season as well, I think.
We'll be okay. Ramsay Bolton, he is probably the biggest scumbag yet so far. I thought Joffrey, because Joffrey was having babies killed, but Ramsay, I think, is probably worse.
Yeah, he's definitely worse.
Yeah.
He's definitely worse. Oh, God, you're not even on season 6. Okay, come on.
So anyway,
chop.
yeah, so we'll be about, I figure we got about 12 or 13 days, and then we'll be on, so let's call it 2 weeks, and then we'll be on to season 8.
That's great, because we might be able to talk about season 8 when it's relevant.
Yeah.
You're still,
We might catch the last 3 episodes, possibly, of season 8. We might be in real time.
Oh, you'd have to, there's only 3 left, so.
Oh, is there? How many? What,
Yeah.
there's only...
6.
Oh, 6 in season 8? Oh, we definitely won't catch up then.
No, they're hour and a half each, though. They're long.
Okay. Well, I'll push the missus because she's watching them as well. See what we can get done.
Okay, cool.
Well...
Jesus!
What happened there? A cat.
No, the mic stand fell on me.
Mic stand fell. That is a hazard of podcasting.
I think I was so terrified that we might be about to go into your mind.
Inside Chief's mind.
Yeah, so some of these Inside Chief's minds are sometimes a bit comical.
Sometimes.
But I'm going a little bit off canvas here, a little bit off piste.
Oh,
so
getting real.
I'm getting real. I'm getting real up inside the Chief's head. So what's grinding my gears and getting on my goat at the moment is effectively time.
Oh, love it.
I've got a problem with time, and I've got a few little fears in my life. Fear of heights, but I kind of like being up high. I like a sense of controlled risk. So if I'm up high, I get a bit of a rush from it, but I don't like it. I'm definitely claustrophobic.
Right.
But my biggest fear is of not being alive. So not the actual act of dying, but
Yeah,
although
not
I'm
existing.
sure I will be scared when I am dying, but the actual thought of there not being a chief on this planet absolutely terrifies me. Even now, speaking to you now, I'm getting a little bit. I'm getting like my hairs are coming up. I'm getting a little bit anxious when I think about not being alive.
Well, Chief, you better leave a legacy.
So it's the finiteness of human life, and time is creeping ever closer. And when I think, I'm 43. If I'm lucky, I'm about halfway through my life. But the tail end of most people's lives potentially aren't that great, and I'm like, I don't know. When I was about 18, this kind of deep rooted fear I was so sure that I needed to amass millions of pounds so that I could cryogenically freeze my body when I was
Disney?
When I was about mid-20s. And then I wanted to be reawakened when there was an immortality drug, or my brain could be transplanted into a clone body or something like that. That's actually real. That was in my head. I had a fear of not being alive, that I needed to become immortal, effectively.
So what have you been put on this planet to do?
Well, that's the other thing.
Job to do.
That's the other thing is I'm not saying I've started getting depressed, because I know people who suffer from depression, clinically depressed, and it's a real thing, and it's very debilitating, and it is a kind of it's a mental disease, and I'm not putting myself in that category at all, but I have started seriously thinking about what is the point of life. What am I actually doing? If I think about it too much, it brings me down, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just, every day I'm getting up, going to work, I'm coming home, going to sleep, I'm just doing the same thing, and eventually I'll just be dead. And what has it all been for? I don't understand my purpose of being on this planet. And it's like, some people say, oh, it's to reproduce. Why is it to reproduce? Who determined that was?
Well, that's just an instinct.
What the
that's
general
just an animal
consent.
instinct.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm struggling with existence at the moment.
Chief,
so
that's
I
the
don't
grind.
know. I don't know if I need. I'm not saying I need some kind of therapy or anything like that, or counselling, but I need to speak to someone, I think, to not make me happier, because I'm not saying I'm not happy, but if I dwell on it too much, I honestly start just kind of crawling into a ball and just thinking, I don't get it. Soon I'm going to be dead, and what's it all been for?
But don't you think those are good questions to have and to ask? I mean, they kind of excite me a little bit. I mean, I think what you need is distractions. If you've got a busy mind like that, you need things to distract you from thinking about those things, but I wouldn't necessarily say that they are negative things to think about.
No,
Everyone
maybe not for
why.
me personally at this moment in time, it is going into the negative in terms of like, I just don't, I don't know.
You're asking Ben, what's the point?
What's the point of doing anything?
I don't think there is an overriding point. I think
I'm a victim of being semi-intelligent. You know, sometimes I wish I had. Sometimes
you're self-aware.
Sometimes I wish I had what I call the Homer Simpson syndrome, where he's pretty clueless. He doesn't really care. The simple things in life make him happy, and he's kind of just in a blissful state of
he's in a bubble
that he's happy with, and maybe that'd be better. Curse of being semi-intelligent.
I live in a bubble a little bit sometimes. I don't really like things when they get a bit too real. But talking about this stuff is key, and acknowledging that stuff is kind of the first step into figuring it all out, I think.
Yeah.
I don't really think what you're thinking is anything unusual. I think everyone thinks like that at a certain point. Sounds, midlife.
I think that one of the keys is
taking stock.
One of the key things, maybe it's, a midlife crisis. I'll let the viewers into some personal chief knowledge here. I actually had a semi-breakdown when my kid was born,
right,
and I wasn't ready. Apparently, I have a black spot of about 3 or 4 weeks that I don't remember. Just after she was born, and apparently I didn't handle it well. Apparently I would go out for my midnight strolls and not come back for 2 hours. And my missus apparently found me on the living room floor one night, curled up in a fetal position, just whimpering to myself.
She was probably thinking, "Hang on,"
and I've
got 2 babies.
Yeah,
here
exactly. I had a mental breakdown for 4 weeks that I've completely blacked out. Apparently,
that's what having a kid will do to you. It's a lot to handle.
And I actually resented my child when she was born for about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months, because she had come in to my life and completely changed my life, what I thought was for the worse, because suddenly I was living I was married, but I was still, I had a kid at 40, and so I had lived a single life for a very long time, and even when we were together, me and the missus, we still did a lot of, independent things, and we would go out and do stuff together, whatever, and we didn't have the massive amount of ties. And suddenly that got shaken up, and I couldn't do half the things I was used to doing or wanted to do, and I resented my child for changing my life. That passed, and I love my kid to bits and would do anything for her, and I, not being big-headed, but I'm a great dad, and
but I think
we're a great family unit. But that was kind of I think what I'm afraid of here is having another breakdown about life and where it's going, like I did previously, and I don't want to do that again, because I don't want to put my family under that stress and pressure again. And I think one of the key things is I don't have any kind of long-term goals or ambitions or tasks or anything that I'm shooting or aiming for, and I think that would benefit me by kind of getting something in place.
Your family can be an ambition and a goal.
Yeah.
But also, that's very common, but more so usually you hear from the female side of things. The baby is born and they get sort of postnatal depression.
Yeah.
And they struggle. So it's interesting coming from a male point of view.
I was told that I said that to one of the healthcare assistants who came round to do all the checks.
Yes.
And the baby as they're grown up, and I actually spilled my guts and told them that, and they said that was good because it was honest, and also it was rare. They said it was rare to actually hear the male's voice that kind of opinion. So, but I never keep much close to my chest. I'm a talker, and I've got no problem with emoting. So,
with having kids, I welcome that it took not the pressure to succeed off, but I think I was possibly quite selfish and inward looking, and when you don't have kids, you spend quite a lot of time thinking about yourself and sort of thinking inwardly, and I've definitely become a better person because I think about myself maybe 3rd or 4th down the tier after, kids and wife and stuff, And I think being a little bit more selfless can make you a better, more rounded person. I always think having kids is a great thing because of that fact that it can, it's good to put someone else before yourself.
Yeah.
But as the years roll on, you do need to start thinking about, like your passions again, and you do have to have some me time.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's a balancing act.
Yeah, I don't think either of us, me or the missus, have got a general plan about where we want to be in 5 years. Now, I was never...
But 5 years is a long time,
Yeah, but I was never
who
one...
does?
I was never one to plan long term, nor was she. And I was literally like, I'll live day to day. I don't want to... I always used to even just simply... I would never do a weekly shop. I would always shop day to day because I'm like, I don't know, I don't want to buy 50 quid worth of food because I don't know what I want to eat in 6 days' time. I'll just eat day to day. And that's kind of how I always live my life, like one day, 1 week at a time. And never really was into saving or planning or anything like that. And obviously, we've got a house and a mortgage and a kid. And, I need to start thinking about pension and all that kind of stuff. But I think what I do need to do is, or we need to do as a family unit, is kind of think about where do we actually want to be living, because the house we're in is, I would like to get maybe a bigger house because when the kid starts growing up and all that kind of stuff. So when we start thinking about a bigger property, where do we actually want to be? I'd like to, potentially live down by the seaside or close to the sea, or do we want to stay in the same area? Is it tied to what school she's going to? Is it tied to what job I've got? Do I want to change industries? These are all questions that, I need to kind of ask myself and not just keep putting them off. Because when I've asked those questions, I've just put it off and put it off and put it off and just carried on, which what I view now is just day-to-day drudgery of doing the same thing over and over again. So
we spoke about the living question, me and Emma, every night for, 5 years. Because when you know that you're not in the house that you're going to end up in, you basically just talk about where are we going to go, what are we going to do. And it has felt great since we kind of did our forever home that we don't have to spend our nights talking about what's next all the time. Or we can, but it certainly doesn't involve moving and selling property. So once you do get that locked in, it is quite a nice feeling. Yeah,
because we're not even having those conversations. So I think that's a starter. Start having those conversations and do. One of the tricky things is, I probably don't want to stay in the job I'm currently in, because even though it's okay, I don't mind going in. I know not many people get up and say, hell yeah, let's go to work. There's a few people that do, and I envy those people massively. And I don't hate my job, but I'm losing motivation. I'm losing motivation and passion for it and enthusiasm. And I know that if I probably wanted to get into something I was more into, I'm going to have to take a salary cut, and that's not the end of the world, I don't think, for me. But, I think I'd much rather be a baker or, working in the entertainment industry or, podcasting full time. Hey! Or, doing other stuff. So
you can do those things.
You can do those other things, yeah. And maybe it's fear of, I think I've got a fear of not the unknown, but big changes. Because what if you do leave your current position, whether it be your current housing situation or your current job, and then you move to another house or you move to another job? What if on the outside it looked good, but when you get there it's like, oh shit, this is actually worse than where I've come from?
You can't wait around in life to have these kind of 100% moments where it's like, we're definitely doing this. What's the surest you can be about anything? It's like when I have friends that are and ahhing about having children, I sort of say, how far along are you thinking about this? And they're like, well, we're about 70% sure. I was like, well, that's as good as it's ever going to get, because there's always reasons not to do something, isn't there?
Yeah.
So you might as well just, if you're sort of over 50%, then that's a goer, and you should just do it. I think you'd be surprised. You wouldn't. I don't think you'd have regrets about changing career and stuff like that. Oh, Chiefy!
I've been on the couch with Dr. Ben.
That was
giving
wild.
Me some sage advice. That's a
everything
deeper dive into Chief's mind.
Everything you're saying, I think, is pretty normal. If I was you, I wouldn't feel like, oh, is this strange to be having these thoughts?
Yeah.
I think what you've just done and vocalizing stuff is like that's half the battle.
Yeah.
Most people just keep that stuff in their head and go insane.
Yeah. Like you said, keep distracted. Doing these podcasts and hearing from our great audience actually is a big boost. It's like I actually really enjoy speaking to you and doing these podcasts and popping things up on the social media and getting feedback. That's all good stuff. So
yeah, it's like putting a pin in life, isn't it, for an hour or so, or whatever. There's also always time for new hobbies as well.
That's right. Anyway, we're coming out of my mind now. Well, we're coming out of the dark section. We're going into the fun light section because we're going to talk about some G.I. Joe comics.
We certainly are.
Mixed bag this week. We had a special missions, a yearbook, and 2 issues of the regular series.
Yes, where are we starting, Chief?
Let's start with special missions number 7.
Yes.
This is October 1987. Larry Hama's on script, Herb Trimpe is on art. So I guess he's doing pencils and inks. Bob Shireen colours and Phil Felix on letters. It's called The Old Switcheroo, and on the cover you've got Chuckles, Lady J, and a third Joe, which is silhouetted so you can't really see who it is. Looks like they're on powered gliders heading to the Cobra Consulate.
Yeah, in New York, yeah?
In New York, yep. So this effectively is, there's an attack on the Cobra Consulate building. And
it's like Die Hard, isn't it, that beginning bit?
It's
in
like
that truck.
Die Hard. There's some revolutionaries from Sierra Gordo, where we've seen several times in the regular series. They're attacking the Cobra Consulate. What we actually find out, though, is it was all, on the last page, it was all an elaborate plan perpetrated by Chuckles.
Yeah. They thought they had C4. No,
gas.
they did not.
Yeah.
They had gas.
Yeah.
I thought this was really cool.
Starts off slow, I thought.
Yeah, but that bit where they're coming in, all I could hear in my head was like the Die Hard music, the drums, and they're coming in there. Also, we get to see, I think they're just called straight out Vipers. And I was going to ask you, where are these guys? Because they were huge in the cartoon. I never had one of the figures, but don't you think they look so cool?
Yep. I never had one, actually. I never had one either. But yeah, we've been used to seeing the standard Cobra Trooper in his blue with his red insignia and his red handkerchief over his mouth.
Yeah, and we get a little bit of Serpentor here. The Baroness gets Serpentor on the screen, and he's not best pleased. Yeah. So these lack of ability to make decisions.
Yeah, these revolutionaries have kind of gone in and they're kind of holding Cobra hostage, aren't they? Kind of thing.
Yes.
But there's a couple of divides here. A couple of the leaders actually debate whether one of them wants to, suicide mission and blow everyone up, and the other one is a bit, actually, no, we changed our minds. So they're squabbling. Yeah. And
which
also
mirrors...
the counterpoint, like you say, mirrors the Baroness and Zorana are at loggerheads. She's basically
catfighting.
She's basically picking away at Baroness Zorana, trying to prod the bear, if you will.
Yeah, totally. There's some great panels in here and great artwork of the Vipers when they're coming down the stairs and they're just about to breach the door and they just get absolutely mowed down. Yeah.
Very violent. I noticed Herb Trimpe, who's drawing all these special missions ones, there's a lot of gunfighting and
people
death
get
and stuff
shot.
Going on.
Lots of people get shot. I love that panel above that with the close up on the Vipers. They're just such a cool design.
Yeah. It's simple, isn't it? It's kind of just like a blank face mask.
Yeah, I don't know why they've got goggles above the
the visor
plate. But yeah,
like you say, Serpentor pops up just effectively to say, "Stop your squabbling, sort it out."
Yeah, I had a long look at Dr. Mindbender.
He's got a codpiece on it, massive codpiece with chains.
Yeah, because when he's kind of like in between them, I'm like, look at this guy. Just stop and look at him. So his codpiece is being held up by sort of like a chained. What are they like?
It's like braces. Yeah,
braces, chained braces. Then he's got like a holster for his. I mean, it's wild get up. Then he's got long pink purple gloves on.
Yeah.
He's a heck of a design.
It's a heck of a design, but it's like, I don't know, it's like if this is the power or the medium of comics where I'm reading it in the comics and I have a little chuckle to myself, but for some reason, I don't think it looks overly stupid. If this were in a TV show, if this was in a TV show, completely 180, no one would take that seriously. It would look stupid.
Unless they set that world up where it was normal, and they embraced it.
Yeah. Even then, would people buy it though? Would people, buy it?
Well, yeah. If you sort of set it up as the whole thing was hokey, possibly. I really don't. I love the whole section with Tunnel Rat and the kind of going down into the sewers and they hit the lights, they kill the power.
Yeah.
God, it made me think of Die Hard.
Yeah, it is very. Now that you mention it, yeah, I don't know why that didn't spring to mind, but it is very Die Hard, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and then they've got those gliders are humongous.
They might be silent. They might be silent, but they'd be spotted.
Yeah, because I think it's meant to be like Twilight, isn't it? But yeah, you definitely see 3 of those guys coming over.
Yeah, definitely.
But the Joes have really got the. Oh, hang on, you also get Televipers.
Yes, we haven't really seen much of those, have we?
Which I love their get-up as well.
They're very cool.
Yep. And then what happens here? So
you saw those
gets
in the last episode when in the space mission there was some Televipers up on the Cobra space shuttle.
Yeah, they featured in the cartoon heavily. And then Lady J she gets up in some Baroness garb and costume, and that's when the kind of they have a squabble, don't they? The revolutionary guys, and they hit the bomb.
She
thinking
detonates.
It's gonna.
Yeah, so if that was a real C4, the whole building would have gone up. But it turns out to be gas, and then it turns out that Chuckles he swapped out the C4 explosives for gas because he was the one that sold it to the revolutionaries, and he even helped them plan the mission and drew up the diagrams so they knew their every move, what it was going to be.
Yeah. It was a tight issue. Loved it.
Yeah, and the whole premise of it was to plant a bug in Cobra communication systems.
Yeah,
that was the whole plan from G.I. Joe. So now they've effectively bugged up the Cobra consulate.
Yeah, from their point of view, very successful mission, flawless.
Yep. What are you saying? What are you giving it?
8.
8. Okay, I'm giving it.
Wow.
I'm giving it a
7.
high 7.
High 7.
Yep.
Okay, what are we moving on to?
Let's move on to 67 and 68, which is a bit of a double parter.
Yes.
So cover of 67. Really like this cover. It's Lady J punching out Flint.
Yeah, I loved the first sort of 6 pages of this issue. Were so good with the kind of returning of Quick Kick and Stalker.
Yeah, I'm doing cover of 68 as well. Just get it out of the way.
Oh, okay.
So cover of 67, Flint being punched by Jay, and cover of 68 is Wild Bill in the C-130 dropping a couple of G.I. Joe vehicles.
Yeah, it's fine. Not that bothered about that cover.
Yeah. So, like you said, there's the main focus of these two. The issues are called Cold Snap and Cut and Freeze Dried, and we got Larry Harmer, Ron Wagner is the new penciler, Randy Emberlin's on inks, Neil Yomlov is on colours, and Joe Rosen is on letters. And it's the same.
Yeah, first few pages are great here.
Bob Shireen's on colours on the second one. So yeah, the main storyline here is in Frusenland, with the Cobras and Terror Dromes, etc. But you do get an epilogue, the first 6 pages, like you mentioned. Let's do that, which is a wrap up of that big 6-issue Barovia storyline.
Yeah, Outback, beautifully drawn, just looking down. He feels like he should have disobeyed his orders. And then, the 3 Joes coming out the back of the plane. So good. With all of the kind of the lineup of the Joes awaiting them. Very cool.
Yep.
Loved it.
And then Stalker basically, Stalker's like, there he is, Outback. And that's when, like you say, Outback's like, I should have disobeyed orders, blah, blah, blah. And then the 3 captured Joes, Snowjob, Quick Kick, and Stalker basically say, what, are you kidding? You were the only reason we're here because you managed to get out and signal the alert.
Yeah. Now, this bit took me by surprise. Now,
so
Lady J...
You haven't read this bit before, or you have? It's new to you?
No, I haven't read this before. Lady J smacking out Flint and taking his hat off.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
She took that personally.
See, I thought that was so all the Joes have disappeared, and now you're left with the quartet. You're left with Scarlet and Snake Eyes, Flint and Jay. And I thought Jay was a bit out of order here because Flint's basically said, you could have let us in on it. He's talking to Snake Eyes and Scarlet.
Yeah.
You didn't have to make fools of us by pretending to get blown up by a mine. And I'm with Flint there.
Same.
And she just turns around and socks him one right in the kisser.
He's looking pumped in his vest.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes spread eagle.
Yeah.
Completely off the deck.
Yeah. Lifts him off his feet.
But then kind of ends nice because he gets the feeling that she might actually like him.
Yeah, they got the feels for each other.
Now, the rest of this arc I thought was fine.
Okay.
I thought it was okay. We basically find out the kind of secret of the Terror Dromes, don't we? This secret ability that they have that we haven't known about. This kind of, they can emit this radio frequency that can cause large populations to go a bit crazy. And
this is issue 67, 68, and this ties all the way back to issue 2. Panic in the North Pole, your old favourite, Quinn the Eskimo. If you recall, he was going into, I think it was a Russian hut in the Arctic or Antarctic, and he was retrieving some kind of Russian low-frequency transmitter thing. And this is what have been pumped into the Terror Dromes, an ultra-low-frequency wave transmitter, which transmits a Paranoia ray.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of sort of lengthy callbacks like that because it just builds the world better.
And Cobra's ultimate goal is to sell these cut-price Terror Dromes, then incite paranoia in the surrounding areas to then create a market for more arms deals that they can then sell at a higher... They can then sell, oh, look, we created a new war, so now we'll sell you all of our equipment. Suddenly the price has gone up or whatever.
Yeah, because what you're saying as well catches Fred 7 a little bit off guard, doesn't it? Because I think he's being quizzed by the Techno Viper.
That is a cool bit.
Which I had about 7 of those guys.
And these are really nicely drawn. That whole scene, they're walking down the corridor.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, hang on. He doesn't actually know about Quinn and that stuff, but then luckily he gets distracted.
And I like he's got ear mufflers on.
Yeah,
and
I know.
I think that's a bit... Because in issue 67, where I think it's Prime Minister Wolf, who is the leader of Frusenland, they're trying to sell him the Terror Dromes. He doesn't want to know about it. And so then Baroness and Mindbender and Fred 7 basically decide to amp up these Terror Dromes and turn them on. And and Mindbender says, you might have to remove your helmet, Cobra Commander. And he's like, to put these ear mufflers on to stop the paranoia rays. No need. I'll simply reset the built-in bafflers to the proper wavelength. So
but Mindbender doesn't know.
So does he mean the built-in bafflers in his helmet? But then later on, he's actually got these earmuffs over his helmet.
Yeah, walking down.
Love it.
But Mindbender's never seen him.
And that next panel, Baroness has thrown the switch. In the background, there's Mindbender, and he's popping the cork off a bottle of champagne.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, they have a nice cheers. The Techno Vipers all huddled over that, pushing the tanks on that board.
Oh, that's amazing. Cool. Great scene. Ron Wagner is fast becoming, I think, I like his art, especially because it wasn't a massive shift away from Rod Wigham's art. It's very similar-ish, but I don't know. I don't want to say that I prefer his to Wigham's because Wigham's was so spot on, but I really like the art in these 2 issues.
Yeah. Maybe I just like the inking in these issues.
Yes.
It's so much pop.
It's Emberlin is inking, whereas the previous Ron Wagner stuff, it was very thin inked black lines. Here it's a lot thicker, and like you say, it really pops.
We've got... I tell you something do you ever remember anything about Ice Viper?
Ice Viper...
I never had that guy.
Now, this is interesting because...
Does he ever get mentioned
when
again?
we get into issue 68, which is where I kind of think where we're going now, this has... So we've had issues, especially the one... Do you remember the one where... introduced the Havoc and Sergeant Slaughter was chasing down and escaping Zartan from the pit.
Yeah.
And the Thunder Machine. It felt like a real toy episode, effectively.
Yes.
Now, this particular issue, 68, this didn't feel like a toy episode. However, it introduces Maverick in the Vector, which is some new plane. It introduces Blocker, Dodger, Blaster, Avalanche, Knockdown, who are all Battle Force 2000. It introduces the Persuader, which is the tank. It introduces the Wolves and the Ice Viper, who's the pilot of the Wolf. It introduces the Maggot, which is a big Cobra tank. Yeah. And it introduces, I think, Frostbite in the Snowcat. And it introduces some bike, which Duke is riding. So it introduces probably more Joes and Cobras and vehicles than any other issue. But in fact, I didn't feel like it was a toy issue.
I did, but
that
did. Didn't really
not to
make
the detriment
me dislike
of the
it.
issue, right?
No, but what I was surprised about was Avalanche. I can't believe he's only being introduced now. I thought he was OG. I thought he was really old.
Did you?
And the Snowcat, Because all those Battle Force 2000 guys,
Yep.
they feel so new to me.
Yes.
And I don't associate them coming out at the same time as Avalanche.
No.
Because that was a really cool vehicle. The Snowcat is, to me,
Well,
a
yeah,
sort of
the
a G.I. Joe classic.
Frostbite is the driver of the Snowcat.
Oh, sorry, Frostbite.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
And well, I had it as a toy, and
it was great.
It appeared in. I don't think you've gone back and reread those Action Force issues, but when we did that Action Force special with Diagnostic
There's
80,
a good cover, isn't there? With
yeah,
it on?
real good cover with Quick Kick getting blown. Quick Kick's driving one. He's
Yes.
getting blown out of the cover, issue 14, out of the Snowcat, and that was around 1987, where we were seeing the Snowcat in Action Force weekly, and this issue is February 1998. So we actually saw that vehicle, I think, before our US compatriots.
Ah, okay.
It was out in vehicle form, I think, in the States, but it hadn't featured in the comic yet.
Yes, that's right, because so many people had that vehicle as a toy. It was a really popular toy.
And I really like the look of that Cobra vehicle, the Wolf, with the Ice Viper. It's kind of a single-tracked sled kind of thing. Looks really cool.
Yeah, that does look cool. There's a lot of stuff in this issue that I don't... Like Battle Force 2000, what is that?
Yeah, not sure. It's not really answered. There's a really cool scene where they're introduced, though, drawn amazingly, where Blaster and I think it's Dodger spying up on a ridge, and they're starting to snipe at each other, but Blaster's got his headphones in, I think.
Yes. They're feeling the effects.
And then they go back to camp, and then the door gets busted out of their camp. Real cool panel with Dodger and I think someone else. And I think it might even be Avalanche. And they're fighting, and then Maverick flies in the Vector, and he's told to leave his helmet on, because then they twig there's something going on with these some frequencies. So Blaster gets out some ghetto blaster and turns the music on, and everyone calms down. So they were being affected by these paranoia rays.
Is Battle Force the kind of precursor to, Tiger Force? And although Tiger Force felt like much more of an established thing.
I think they were just trying to create a new kind of inbuilt unit, a sub-unit of troops.
Yeah, because I loved Tiger Force, but this one wasn't on my radar at all.
Great panels where they're across an ice shelf. They're being chased by cobras, and the All Strikers been blown up. And yeah, because they've drawn... Actually, Avalanche is a black dude, and on the early panels, he's the colorist has actually coloured him in as a white dude.
Yeah, that's why I was getting confused.
Yeah. But Hawks helped him onto the back of the Snowcat, and he's got the Law, which is the light anti-tank weapon.
Oh,
and
this
one
is
of these
great.
Ice Vipers in a Wolf pulls up alongside. Hold your fire, wait till I pass him and hit him in the rear where his armour is the weakest. And there's no armament, and there's a Law rocket literally pointed right at his face. It just blows him up.
Yeah, he's gone showed.
See, I never had this Persuader either, this tank, the Persuader. It fires out of the front and the side of its cannon. Did you ever have that?
Are you talking about
CoverGirl's driving it, I think.
Yeah, CoverGirl, again, she pops up.
Oh, she's in the cannon.
No, I know it. It's in the cartoon.
And I never had any of these Battle Force vehicles.
No, the only one that rings a bell is the bike.
Yeah, never had any of them.
This issue just ends really suddenly, doesn't it? With Hawk.
Yeah.
It's like, phew.
Yeah, he's
cool.
he's gone into... So basically, the Prime Minister, I think, has agreed to buy some Cobra weaponry, but then Hawk's gone into town. Battle Force 2000 has actually now dismantled the Terror Dromes, and all these... It's a big thing about the reindeer herders have been starting revolts and civil unrest in the city because of the Terror Dromes. Now they've all calmed down. Duke's popped in on this single kind of motorbike vehicle thing.
Yeah.
And he's cut a deal with the Prime Minister. And effectively, now that the Cobra who's chasing down G.I. Joe has now been told to withdraw. It's kind of like when G.I. Joe was leading the assault on Cobra Island, and they suddenly had word to pull out. It's kind of the reverse thing here, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Cobra's now been ordered to get out. You've got 24 hours to get out of the country.
Right, shall we Yojo Cola both these issues?
Yep, I am just going to jump forward to issue 72, because in the back there's a letters page, postcard The Pit, and there's a letter here from Jay Davis in Houston, Texas. No, it wouldn't be Houston or Houston, it'd be Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
And he says, G.I. Joe 68 was great, and he spelt it out Great. I'm so glad to see that Duke is back in action. I was disappointed way back in 22 when you introduced him. Well, that's wrong because he's a great character. But nonetheless, he is now my favourite character. You have developed him very well, and once again, I'm happy to see him back. By the way, on page 16, Hawk apparently calls Iceberg... Actually, no, Iceberg is the black dude, I think, and Avalanche is the guy in Battle Force 2000.
Okay.
So the colorist didn't get it wrong. Apologies, Bob Shireen. It was correct. Avalanche, I think, is a member of Battle Force 2000, yeah, and Iceberg. I don't think he had a vehicle, but he says, Hawk apparently calls Iceberg Hawk. I have two possible solutions as to why you printed this, seeing as how Marvel doesn't make mistakes. A, since the Joes are near the North Pole and the sun never goes all the way down or up there, the Aurora Borealis reflected off the snow and thereby distorted Hawk and Iceberg's uniforms to the extent that Hawk's uniform looked like Iceberg's and vice versa. So Hawk was actually Iceberg and Iceberg was actually Hawk. And then he's put B, Hawk thought that Iceberg might have amnesia from when the Ore Striker ate it. So Hawk identified him to see if, in fact, Iceberg was okay. Do I get a no prize? Now, I kind of like both those. However, he gets slashed down here because, sorry, Jay, it's against our general policy to award a no prize to people who offer more than one solution. There's a little too much cheating. So basically, had he have gone one or the other, he would have got a no prize. But because he did two, doesn't get one.
Jeez.
There you go.
Man, he really went into that.
He went into that. So, yes, let's Yo Joe it. And one other quick thing we will mention is there's a tiny little bit which is about the Blind Master and Jinx and Storm Shadow and Billy. They're just walking around town. And I'm not sure the purpose of it. I think it plays in a bit later, but there's a kid who's like a purse snatcher, some street vagabond, who snatches a purse. And a local cop comes to arrest him, but the Blind Master says, no, he tripped on my cane, even though the Blind Master threw his cane and knocked him over. He kind of takes this kid under his wing. And you're kind of like,
that it was cutting to that.
You're kind of like, what's this all about? Now, I think that plays a part, from my recollection, in an issue that's coming up. But it was kind of a weird and odd and, didn't really serve any purpose, but...
Yeah, well, I thought they were going to come back to it, but then never did.
So Yo Joe this one for me. Or I'll go first. I'm giving this an 8. Really, really enjoyed all that Frusenland stuff and the little epilogue. Yeah. I'm giving it an 8.
Yep, I am also giving it an 8. Had a really good time with those two issues.
I think the art was fantastic.
A lot of new characters. Art was great. It rolled along really nicely. I didn't see little bits of comedy stuff. Didn't really see any downsides to that. So good stuff. Yeah.
Right, let's move on. Yearbook 4 on the cover here. This is the last of the yearbooks. On the cover here, Horror Show from the October Guard is holding up Cobra Commander in his battle armour above his head. Meanwhile, the Crocmaster is front and centre with all the crocodiles around him.
Oh, Crocmaster. I got him for Christmas.
Did you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Came with a massive croc. Although they just call them alligators all the time in this. But
yes, so he's generally a croc/alligator master.
Yeah. Good cover.
Good cover, like it. The general premise here is the October Guard are on a secret mission. They want to go and capture Cobra Commander.
Yes. But basically you got G.I. Joe kind of just at the border of where they're allowed to be in international waters, haven't you?
Exactly. They're kind of they're on a kind of passive reconnaissance.
Yes. Yeah, they're effectively just sort of hanging out, and what do? They intercept a couple of them, but the majority of them actually make it to Cobra Island.
Yep. Just to let you know, this is the general special missions team here. So you've got Larry Harmer on script, Herb Trimpe on art, Neil Yomtov on colours, and Joe Rosen on letters. So kind of carrying over that same crew that does the special missions.
Yeah, I like the way that when they get to Cobra Island, they find the G.I. Joe raft.
Yeah, very cool.
That they buried in 46. I was like, they didn't need to do that, but it's so cool.
Another callback to earlier stuff and tying it all in. And now this one started out the first few pages. I was like, I'm not too sure on this. The art was kind of, I don't know. It's nice. Herb Trimpe is really good, but it was just a bit kind of generic. Nothing really happening, and I wasn't really into it. But as it kind of went past that third or that first half, I kind of got proper into it.
Yeah, I quite liked how sort of soap opera-y it became.
Yeah, lot of kind of not infighting amongst the October Guard, but a lot of Dana feels like she's, there's a lot of sexism going on from Colonel Breakov and Horror Show. She's being made to paddle harder in the raft and dig deeper to bury the raft and, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I wasn't as interested in that stuff. I was really into all the Cobra Commander stuff, and I thought when I was reading it, I was like, wow, this feels like quite important to sort of put in a yearbook.
Yeah, because the other issues have kind of been kind of throwaway-ish, but here then, when it cuts to the Cobra stuff, because those October Guard are going through the swamps, and now Crocmaster has been he's smelt them, or he's been made alert to them. He's hunting those guys down. Cut over to the Cobra, and they're having another rally. They like to have these. They had a big rally in Springfield. They're having a big rally here, and it's WCBR FM. Which I assume is like a local Cobra,
like media agency.
WC or WCBR, so World Cobra Radio FM or something like that. And they've put this combination rally / amateur show and potluck dinner is really getting into full swing. So everyone gets a show, then everyone gets a potluck dinner. Love it.
And you're made to think, Cobra Commander is completely in charge of Cobra.
Yes.
From this, isn't he? And also his pretty bad speech.
Yeah. Well, because the radio calls out his trusted aides and advisors, Baroness, Mindbender, Serpentor, Zartan. So even Serpentor is not billed as a leader of any kind. He's an advisor to Cobra Commander.
Yeah, he's been, and then I don't know. Usually I wouldn't like this type of issue, but I found myself I was quite engaged. I have to say.
Yes.
With the kind of, Baroness and Cobra Commander have a little moment on the balcony. I was like, whoa, where's this coming from?
Yeah, he takes his helmet off.
Fred Seven,
she's like, what did you do in my script? And he's like, I had a better one. And then, they, like you say, the fireworks are going off and they're in a little smooch. Yeah,
and I would usually hate this sort of panel, but I thought it was actually quite funny. The fact that you got Serpentor, Mindbender and a BAT in the shrubs watching them have a smooch is so comical. Yeah. Just the visual of Serpentor just popping out of that bush. I can't stand Serpentor. He's such a goon.
Oh, I love him.
Well, no, but I mean,
I used to hate him, but no, I love him. Yeah, but yeah, they've witnessed, so now they know that they've been rumbled. Effectively, now he knows.
Yeah,
that
they have been.
Cobra Commander's
like a bunch
not
of kids.
Cobra Commander.
Yes.
Like a bunch of kids. Yeah, there's a cool scene in the swamps where the crocodiles the alligators are all coming in from all sides.
I know what you're doing. I know what you're
Horror
saying.
Show chucks out a bag, and you're like, oh, he must have explosives. He's just got about 10 roast chickens in his bag.
Yeah, if that wasn't enough, then he's got a mouthful of pins, and you're like, oh, he's stuffed them with grenades.
He stuffed all those, yeah. So he's already been eating one on the raft, and then he's got, I count 1, 2, 3, another 5 chickens here.
Like some sort of diabolical cooking show.
Yeah, just constantly got to eat. He's just always eating chickens.
It's just I want throwback panels to him preparing those.
Yeah.
Just pushing grenades.
A couple of Joes have infiltrated the island to find out what the October Guard are up to, and I think it's Torpedo and Wetsuit, and I like it because they're all camoed up. They're not in their regular dress outfits. They're in their green camo stuff with face paint and stuff. Very cool.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Cobra Commander's taking his helmet off.
And a BAT has come up behind him with it's like a double axe handle back in the old WWF days where you used to come off the top rope, both hands clenched, hit someone over the top of the back of their double axe handle. He's done that to Cobra Commander, which probably would have killed him, I reckon, but knocked him out. And Serpentor's like, hey, we can, this armour could be anyone underneath. Let's put it on the BAT.
And these kind of bits are the bits that I'm talking about. Like, sometimes I wouldn't like this sort of stuff, but I just went with it, and it was quite fun. So it's just funny. It's funny to see Serpentor so involved, I guess.
Yeah. And the next bit there is the October Guard have climbed up to the balcony, and they're like, we need to find Cobra Commander. And Colonel Breakov's got a picture, like an 8x10 portrait of, I don't know what Cobra Commander was posing for here. It's just a still of Cobra Commander in the battle armour, and they're like, he's our guy, because he's unconscious on the floor. That's the guy we want. Don't know why he needed to carry that picture around with him, but
he couldn't remember that image. Yeah, so Mindbender of Spencer, they get knocked out.
Yes, they get knocked out by the October Guard, and then they're making a retreat with the BAT, who I guess Cobra did they turn him off, Mindbender, or did they?
Yeah, they turn him off and then they turn him back on.
Yeah.
When he's in the chopper,
Yeah.
and he starts wrecking shop.
Horror Show had another satchel full of you think chickens again, but this time it's C4 explosive.
Yeah, no.
Lot of animal
It's
death.
funny because meanwhile, there's just crocs everywhere.
Oh, everywhere.
You
Everywhere.
know,
Lot of them dying, and then
they do.
the Joes
They do turn
yeah.
the bat back on, don't they?
They do. Well, the Joes team up with the October Guard to fend off Cobra. Again, great battle scenes here. Stuff blowing up. Trimpe's on top form here.
Yes. Baroness gets involved.
And then, like you say, the October Guard steal a Mamba helicopter, which Trimpe's drawn slightly different to how they're drawn in the regular series.
Yeah, I do love that panel of the sort of Cobra docks, though, with the two hydrofoils.
Yeah, I know you love a hydrofoil.
The chopper, yeah. Nice.
Joes have got out on a smaller vehicle, and then that's where Serpentor's woken up, and he says, let's just reactivate the BAT in Berserker mode. So he's turned it. He's got a mode to go berserk, which he does, and he effectively the rotor blades of the chopper chop him up, which causes the Mamba to go down into the sea. And then this reminds me of issue 1 of Special Missions, where you're both out in the sea. Remember that one with the submarines? And each team has the G.I. Joe team has got those. I think it's Scrage and who's the other? One of the other October Guards, Stormovic, have been captured early on, and they basically kick them back over the side with U2, and Cutter kicks them over the side, much like that scene in Special Missions 1.
Yes. Now, I suppose I was like, where is this going? Because this is very important.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's not in the main run, but it sort of wraps up and just kind
very
of
quickly, because Fred 7 was working on another battle suit, which he's now managed to get into.
Yes.
And so now he's back in his guise as Cobra Commander. And he said,
Yes.
not so fast, Serpy.
Serpy.
Luckily, I had a spare set of battle armor stashed backstage.
Yeah. So a very fun issue.
A fun storyline, yeah.
Is quite. I found it quite funny, quite comedy. Normally not the sort of thing I'd like, but I found myself enjoying that.
Yeah. So it was a lot of comedy. It had a callback to issue 46, which was when the Joes had gone on to Cobra Island and buried the raft, which the October Guard found. And the main thing, what it does do is it confirms that Serpentor knows that the guy in the battle armor isn't Cobra Commander. That's what it does do. That's a big thing that it does do.
Yeah.
But lots of japes and love Horror Show and his chickens. And yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Crocmaster, big sort of toy introduced there.
What are you giving it?
I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay, wow. So triple 8s across the board for Ben here.
I don't think 7 would be fair because I really enjoyed it.
So just quickly, we're going to put it on the overall ranking list offline off of here. But of those 3 8s, so if you had to put those in order, the 67, 68, this particular
definitely
one.
Definitely the main run.
That's your number one of the 3. And then what do you prefer at Special Mission 7 or this?
That's a close call. Very similar.
I'll leave it up to you to decide at a later date.
Yeah.
We actually do have a bonus one, because also in this yearbook, there's...
Wait, you haven't...
Oh, I haven't yo-joed it.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to give this one
7.
a high 7 again, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Same as the Special Mission 7. So we have a little one called Bystander. Now, this is script by Larry Harmer. Art is by Tony Salmons, who will actually be coming up, and he will be doing several issues on the main series coming up.
Big concern. Big concern about Tony.
So I am a big fan of Tony Salmons' art.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But in the context of G.I. Joe?
Yeah, even in the context of G.I. Joe. Now, the Seddon boys, big fans of the show, friends of the show, they've read ahead, and they've been messaging me saying, Chief, we've been reading ahead. We do not like Tony Salmon's art on G.I. Joe. Now,
no, because I read ahead. I just flicked, and I was like, whoa. I was like, what's going on here? Why is the Ore Striker all bending?
He does art, yeah. He does art in some Sierra Gordo stuff, which is what you're referring to. And, yes, I'm not sure on where Tony Salmon stands in the fans' viewpoint, but talking to you and the Seddon boys, it sounds like he's 0 for 3.
No, I think, the thing is, a lot of it is just... it's just different. Now, different doesn't mean bad, and you do have to just like marinate in it. It's just a shock, isn't it? When you go in one issue to the next, it's like, whoa, this is like watching a different TV show or something. It's
let's see how he does on the main series when we get to it, and you might change your mind, you might reaffirm, you might be like,
it's just different.
Yeah. So anyway, this little story, it's little like an 8-page or something like that. Snake Eyes and Scarlet are in civilian civilian outfits. They've stopped off at it looks like they're on a highway in the middle of nowhere. They've stopped off to get talcum powder to basically Snake Eyes' mask is chafing, and I'm not talking about his black uniform mask. I'm talking about his rubber civilian mask to make him blend in as a normal person. So it's chafing, so he needs to get some talcum powder. And basically while they're in there, a couple of guys come in and try and rob the place, and Snake Eyes takes him down. He's looking on a magazine rack, and he's looking at Nam. A magazine.
I know, Nam. Yeah. That's brilliant. But I felt robbed of a panel because I was like, oh, this is great. He's going to light him up. Yeah. And he's pouring, what's he pouring? Zappo.
Yeah.
Starter fluid onto the guy, and he strikes the match, and then I flicked to the next page, and I was like, oh, he's just running out. I wanted to see him.
Yeah, because this is pretty brutal. One of the guys has gone in, two of the kidnappers, or not the kidnappers, they're looking for the cash from the register. One of the clerks has gone for the alarm, and this guy's literally double-barrel shotgun and just killed this guy straight away.
Yes.
But Snake Eyes, then he's jumping over counters, he's lobbing 6 packs of beer at people, and then, like you say, he's got this Zappo starter fluid, and he's put a trail which finishes in a puddle underneath this guy, and it's on his jacket as well, isn't he? Then he flicks his lighter, and he's killed. Basically, he's burned a guy alive here. Yeah. I don't think they were ever going to show that, though, were they?
No, well, they didn't. But,
and the other clerks escaped. Snake Eyes has come out, stone-faced, obviously his mask. Scarlet's like, there you are, I'm not going to ask, just get in the car. And just drives off. I can't take you anywhere. Fix your mask. It's like kind of cold fish. I really, really enjoyed it. Even though it's short.
It's a little vignette, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's nice.
It kind of, what does it do? It sets the character. It
says a lot
about how bad Snake Eyes is, and he's almost willing to go to any lengths. But at the end of the day, it's gone. He's got out of that situation, and they're driving off. It's not like he stopped to make sure the other clerk was okay, or wait for police presence, whatever. It's a weird one, and it's not really a G.I. Joe story in effect, because it could be anyone. But yeah, it's a bit vigilante. But I actually really liked it.
Yeah, it's so. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably give it a 7. I think
it's a hard one to grade.
Can't give it an 8.
It's a hard one to grade because it is just very, very standalone, and not in the sense of a Special Missions 22-page standalone. It doesn't really add anything. But I'd like to give it an 8 if I could, but I think I'm going to give it a 7.
So whilst you've been talking about that, I've just been flicking through issue 69 at the art. I think I'm going to have an issue with the way he sort of draws motion.
Okay,
but anyway,
so yes,
we'll get to that.
Let's just quickly have a look then at what's coming up. So I think we can do 69, 70 and 71.
Yep.
And then we'll pop in for a Special Missions 8.
Perfect.
So that's what people need to track down and read ahead of next week's show.
How long have we got Big Tony on pencils for, roughly?
I don't think he does that many. I think, off the top of my head, I don't know. I'll tell you what I'm going to do very quickly. I'm going to just quickly use our old friend Wikipedia. In the meantime, while I'm doing this, people can catch us in all the usual places. Talking Joe Comics on Instagram. Talking Joe at gmail.com. Talking_Joe on Twitter. We've got the Facebook group, Talking Joe, a G.I. Joe podcast. Gets in all the normal places. He actually does Real American Hero issue 69. And then he's not actually he only does then issues 87 and 88 and 91.
So does he only do 68? He doesn't do 70?
You only get one issue of him in this storyline, then you get 3 issues later on.
Oh, I mean, that's fine. So, to be fair, it's nice to mix it up. Actually,
Yeah.
it's a talking. It's a
We'll close the show with Chief Fastbane a question. Chief Fastbane a question. What'll he say? What'll he do when Chief Fastbane a question? Avengers. Who's your favourite?
I'm gonna.
Now this is.
I like the original.
This is purely based on movies because I'm guessing you haven't read any Avengers comics.
No, I have never. And I can't imagine I'd be. I looked at a Captain America comic once and I was like, "Jeez, no." It's funny what you were saying. Like, I actually have an easier time looking at him on the screen than on the page.
Right.
But I would say, yeah, Cap, Tony, and Thor. I can't choose between them. I flip-flop.
Okay.
I do love Cap. The casting for all of them is incredible.
Yes.
So, yeah, we'll say Cap.
Okay.
What about yourself? Do you have a favourite Avenger?
Movies. Iron
Man?
I would probably say edge towards Thor.
Yeah.
Comics. I mean, you've probably got. I don't know how many Avengers there've been. I'm going to say 50 plus, probably.
Yeah.
And I've got a big run of Avengers comics. You know, like a 150 issue run from like the late 80s, 90s. And if I'm choosing a favourite, that is tough. I do quite like the Black Knight, who's someone you don't know. I do quite like She-Hulk. I think she was on the Avengers. Pretty sure she was. A guy called Dr. Druid I quite like. Hercules, massive fan of Hercules.
Hercules?
Yeah. Black Panther, like Black Panther. That's it for the show. It's gone a bit extra long because we were deep and dark inside Chief's mind. We'll try and keep it a trim, brief one next week if we can. Well, we've got to get all the good content and we go as long as we need to go, I guess. But until next week, be safe and we will see you down the road.
See you later, guys. Have a good week.